momentous occasion which people have awaited for many centuries now, the Ram Janmabhoomi Pujan. But this has left the intellectuals divided. Some of them opine that temples are a source of solace at such times, and it is very important to preserve the culture of India, which will lead to greater leaders being created. On the other hand, we have the intellectuals who say that, no, this is not the time to build temples. It is rather the time to build big hospitals, educational institutions, and plan about how to eradicate poverty in the country. Rather than investing on big structures, massive structures, it would be appropriate for all of us to combine and invest this wealth in the building of the nation. So with the intellectuals divided, many of us have many varieties of questions. What are temples actually meant for, and so on. So to guide us today and to enlighten us, we have His Grace Chanchalapathi Prabhu, who is the Senior Vice President of ISKCON Bangalore and the Vice Chairman of the Akshay Patra Foundation. We are very glad to have you with us, Prabhu. Welcome, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we have with us the first questioner for today, Prabhu. We have Subhrajit Mukherjee from Folk Bangalore. He is currently studying petroleum engineering at Presidency College. Over to you, Subhrajit.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So my question is that according to the Maslow's needs of hierarchy, okay, so Prabhu, according to the Maslow's needs of hierarchy, the psychological needs of food, health, and safety comes at the very bottom, while the need of self-actualization actually comes at the top of the pyramid. So at the tasting time of pandemic, when we are sailing upstream against so many adversities like scarcity of food, scarcity of health infrastructure, is not it more needful that we focus on the very basic needs and necessities rather than building lavish and expensive temples? That was my question, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. We're having a small audio interference there. So for the viewers, what is the question that was asked? Some of you are pinging in to us. So let me read out the questions for the viewers. In the meanwhile, let's get the audio done, fixed up. Okay. Subhrajit's question is this, that Maslow's hierarchy of needs suggests that the basic need of food and medicine forms the foundation, while the self-actualization is at the peak. So in a testing time of pandemic, when we are sailing upstream against so many adversities with scarcity of health infrastructure and food supply, isn't it more useful to focus on the basic needs than the needs of building a temple? So this is the question of Subhrajit. Over to you, Prabhu.
Okay. Now you are able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, we are able to hear you.
Very good. Good question, Subhrajit, about the need for a temple vis-a-vis the need for food, hospital, and so on. Actually, in any situation, we should look at the micro situation and the micro view and the macro view. Then we will get a balanced picture. Yes, the world is facing the pandemic and the governments are responding Even a spiritual organization like us, we are responding to it. We are responding appropriately. For instance, we have distributed in the last 4 months, 3.5 to 4 months, 7.4 crore meals all over the country in about 60 plus locations, in about 15 states in the country. And I have reports of distribution happening in the jungles, in the hills of northern Tripura. I have got a report which says we are 200 meters away from India-Bangladesh border and we are distributing. I've got a report which says that we are in Dharavi, the biggest slum of South Asia, or one of the biggest slums in the world, and in the midst of pouring rain, we are distributing here. So, as a responsible religious organization, we are also addressing that very basic need in the society, and which is food. So in other words, when you look at the micro situation, what the society needs, this is a requirement and we must address that. And we must also have a little bit of a macro picture. Macro picture is that yes, today the world situation, our country's situation is like this. But I was talking to some of our devotees in Delhi, and I was hearing from them, and they are saying that in the last few days, the situation in Delhi is coming under control. The curve is not going up as it was about a week back, 2 weeks back. So, if you see the history of our humanity, in the year 1918 and 19, there was a similar pandemic, Spanish flu pandemic in the world. And you can imagine in the 1918 and 19, we didn't have freedom. We were under British Raj. There was no internet. There was no mobile technology. Very, very less computers. And probably no computers, I'm not too sure. And our telephonic system must have been a most broken system. And railways must have been a broken system of railways in the 1918s. And the world went through that, and we crossed over. It lasted for 2 or 3 years, it is said. And the world came back to a certain kind of a normalcy. And then there was the World War. Once again, there was disruption in the society. And then there was the First and the Second World War. So now if you look at the macro view, yes, humanity has gone through these kind of situations at different points of time. This is reality. And in the same way, we are going through this pandemic, and in a matter of few weeks, months, and years, with the blessings of God, we will be through with this. And once again, a certain degree of normalcy. And that normalcy can be different from the normalcy we were used to. We will see how it unfolds. We have to wait and see. So things will come to a certain state. So when you look at the micro view, we have to just cook food, provide food to people. There is great need. Doctors are needed, nurses are needed, ambulances are needed, so on. Now, if you look at the micro view and make decisions, you will go wrong. For instance, let's take the current micro view of the pandemic situation. We must conclude that hospitals are necessary, maybe institutions which are distributing food are necessary, maybe police station is necessary, but why do we need courts? Why do we need schools? Why do we need colleges? Why do we need advanced research? Let's shut down all those institutions doing those. If you do that, I'm sure you will agree with me, it is wrong. Because schools are required, colleges are required, research institutions are required. And when do you say that it is required? When you get a little bit of a macro view. So, reality is not about micro view or a macro view, but it is a balanced combination of the two. Then you will have a better picture of the world and how to deal with the world and how to look at the situation. So, courts are required. Now you may say, when people are battling for life, who cares for justice? Who cares for this or that? Yeah, it is true in one sense, but in another sense, it is not true. We cannot tell the government, we cannot say, shall we take a decision because of the pandemic? Let's shut down the courts. Let's shut down colleges and schools, because schools and colleges, in fact, are shut down right now. Let's categorically say, let's shut down the education department altogether. No, that would be a wrong decision. In the same way, when you take a macro view, a combination of micro and macro view, and a balance of the two, because as situation changes, we have to look at micro problems and how to solve them. And when things improve at the micro level, you have to think of the macro level, because the world is going in a certain direction at a macro level. And what issues are there, what problems are there, and what challenges are there, how to address them. This is what a sober, rational, intelligent, thinking person will do. And this is what world leaders do. And this is what is essential. We cannot swing from one end to another end. So we have to have a more balanced approach and understanding in this world. So when you look at that way, spiritual organizations, spiritual knowledge, temples, all of these have a very important role to play in providing meaning to life, enriching lives with a purpose, without which people can become just, you just don't know. I have received information from some people and who say that, who are the family members were victims of this pandemic, and the despair they exhibit. But then when I wrote to them a short paragraph about God, how Krishna is in control, take shelter of Krishna, pray to the Lord, immediately they replied, thank you so much for those few words. Your few sentences are golden words for us in this situation. It gave us tremendous solace. You see, there are the religious thought, religious spiritual thought process has a tremendously soothing experience on the people who are going through trouble. And so we cannot minimize the importance of these aspects, these realities of life. So religion, temple, spirituality also has its place in the society. Now in this pandemic, because of the situation, now you see how schools have become irrelevant. Colleges have become irrelevant. Can we take a bigger view and say there we can shut them down? Like that, there are many, many institutions. ISRO, for example, a very prestigious organization in our country, NASA in America, in the world. So they are involved in space projects. Now you may say, what's the use of space projects? Let's shut that down. We will save maybe 100 crores a month. Let's divert that. Let's tell all the space scientists, please go home. We don't need you. You're irrelevant for us today. Can we take such decisions? No, we cannot. Space research has its place. School, college, education, court system, judiciary, all of them we must have a balanced view. Is that okay?
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for providing the macro and the micro view. It was very interesting to hear that. So an announcement to the audience. So those who have joined us on YouTube, here's an opportunity for you to ask His Grace Chanchalapathi Prabhu your questions. Please state your name, the place where you're from, and then your question in the YouTube live chat. I repeat myself. Please state your name, please state the place you're from, and the question that you'd like to ask His Grace Chanchalapathi Prabhu. Thank you so much. Audience will be given an opportunity to ask questions. I'll be reading out your questions live here. Next, we have with us Bhavan Shiv, who's pursuing civil engineering from Vignan Institute. He's from Folk, Vishakhapatnam. Over to you, Bhavan.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So my question is, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am presenting in everyone's heart as well as everywhere. So why specific temple for a Lord is needed? In fact, it is seen that priests are earning a money in the name of temple. I want to know this about this, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay, priests. All right. Your first question is about God. God is in the heart of every living entity and He's everywhere. So why do we need temple? And priests are misusing. Okay. First, we'll take the God issue and God being everywhere. Yes, there is one very humorous counter to this, to answer this question. First, I will tell you the humorous part and then I'll go into the serious philosophical part. There is electromagnetic radiation everywhere. But why do you need a mobile? Signals are there everywhere. Radio wave signals are there everywhere. Why do you need mobile? Why do you need a television set? It is there everywhere. No, the mobile is a device. It takes the radio waves which are everywhere and makes it accessible to our senses. We are able to hear, we are able to see, so that we can interact. So a mobile device is important. In a similar way, yes, God is present everywhere. In fact, for a very advanced devotee, there are certain other things that are recommended about how he perceives and experiences God everywhere. But for the common person, although God is everywhere, temple gives an opportunity for him to directly interact with God. God, now I'll give a little more philosophical and serious explanation, keeping the analogy and the humorous part aside. It is a fact, God is everywhere, and God is in the heart of every living entity. And everything around us is God. Nothing but God and God's energy exists. This is actually this version of the Vedic literature. Sarva Kalau Idam Brahma. This is in the Chandogya Upanishad. it says everything is Brahman. Brahman means God. One definition, there are multiple definitions, there are different ways of understanding that. One simple definition is Brahman refers to the higher truth, ultimate truth, and everything is nothing but ultimate truth. Now, how can we say everything is truth, everything is God, everything is the ultimate truth? Because there is one more statement in the Vedic literature which says, Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. That Brahman has many Shakti. That is the definition of Brahman. Brahman means one who has all the energies, all the potencies, all the power. So which means there is God and God's potencies. Now, God is there and God's potencies are there. Shaktiman is there and Shaktiman has Shakti. You cannot say, no, there is Shaktiman, but he has no Shakti. That's a contradiction. Shaktiman means one who has all potencies. So now the Shastras go into a further analysis of Shaktiman and the Shakti. How the two are related. Shaktiman is that one who has all the Shakti, and the example that is given is sun and the sunshine. Sunshine is like the Shakti of the sun who is Shaktiman. So sunshine has no independent existence without the understanding of the sun. Sunshine doesn't exist by itself. It is an emanation of the sun. In the same way, God, who is full of potencies, Shaktiman, has many Shaktis, and the Shakti has no independent existence other than in relation with the Shaktiman. Now, the Shastra also says, this Upanishad also says, he has many kinds of Shakti, vividhaiva shruyate. Parasya Shaktir vividhaiva shruyate. Parasya, that is the Supreme, has vividhaiva Shakti. And it is described like that in the Shastras. This is what the Upanishad is saying. So it's not just one Shakti, he has got multiple Shaktis. One of the Shaktis of the Lord is the manifestation of this material world. Now, the world is a manifestation of energy, Shakti. Now, this kind of an understanding exists even in science. The famous Einstein's equation is E equals mc square, isn't it? E is energy, m is matter, mass. Mass is connected with matter. In fact, matter and energy are transformable, is one of the important cornerstones of modern science, as expressed in Einstein's equation. So, matter, seen in terms of energy, is a scientific concept too. And so in the Vedic literatures, this material world is described as one of the energies of the Lord. In fact, it is described as an inferior energy because it lacks consciousness. Consciousness is a higher function or a higher attribute. Like for instance, this table has no consciousness. I'm sitting here and maybe there is an ant crawling on the table. The ant has consciousness. So conscious beings and non-conscious beings, sentient beings and insentient beings. So matter itself is an energy of the Lord, which means it is coming from the Lord, just like sunshine comes from the Lord. That energy has no independent existence. Sunshine has no independent existence. In the same way, this energy, this material energy, this world is made of manifestation, and it is also described in the Vedic literatures. This material energy is constantly in a state of vikara, meaning transformations. It is constantly undergoing transformations. That's why we see in this material world things are in a flux. In fact, the Shastra also says this vikara happens in time. So all of these concepts, even in science, it is validated that all transformations of material energy is happening on the time dimension. Like, for instance, I am certain years old. 20 years from now, I won't be like this. Maybe I'll be dead. If I am alive, I won't be like this. I look like a much older man. 20 years back, I existed. 40 years back, I existed, but not in this form. 40 years back, if you had seen me, I would have been a small boy. So I existed, but my body, which is made of matter, is undergoing transformation. In time, it is undergoing transformation. You see? So vikara, constantly undergoing changes in this, is a feature of material energy. That's why you see trees, plants growing. You take a flower, it's beautiful today. 3 days from now, it would have lost its beauty and it will be crumbling. So like this, everything is undergoing transformation in this material world. And so this energy is there. This is God's energy. But looking at the material world and the material energy, you will not be able to see God there. Although it is God's energy, it requires training, it requires spiritual cultivation to see God in this material world as an energy of God. So this requires more cultivation, more spiritual growth. In fact, it is said, very advanced spiritualist, when he sees different things in the material world, he doesn't see that, he sees God. There is a verse which says, Sthavara Jangama Dekhe, Na Dekhe Thara Murti. Ishta Deva Spurti. When an advanced devotee sees Sthavara Jangama, means moving and non-moving things, mountain, trees, these are non-moving things, or Jangama, moving things, plant, animals, human beings, these are all moving things. When an advanced spiritualist sees Thavara and Jangama, he really doesn't see those respective forms. On the other hand, he sees his Lord's manifestation. You see, Ishtadeva Spurti. Spurti means an emanation or a manifestation of his dear Lord. This is what an advanced devotee sees. Whereas ordinary people like us, when we look at the material world and material energy, we look at the nice car, we'll think, oh, nice car. Can I get that car? When we look at something else attractive, we'll think, can I enjoy this one? So we look at it in a different way. A spiritualist, an advanced spiritualist, when he sees something else beyond that aspect, because he has been trained. Srila Prabhupada gave an example to help us understand this. How an advanced spiritualist, when he sees Tavara Jangama, moving, non-moving things in the world, he sees his Lord beyond that. Because that Stavara Jangama is a manifestation of the energy of the Lord. The example Prabhupada gave was that there is a mother. The mother is getting the child ready to go to the school, bathes the child, dresses up the child, feeds the child, puts on the socks, puts on the shoe, gives a sweater, gives the school bag, gives an umbrella, all those kind of things. And then the school bus comes, the mother sends the child, and the child goes away to the school. And then when the mother returns to the house and she's looking, the leftover, some last night's clothes are lying there, and the child's some books are lying there, which the child didn't carry. Now, when the mother sees all those things, she is immediately reminded of her child. Imagine a few hours later, she gets into the kitchen, she is doing cooking and attending to phone call, buying groceries, or so many things. Say at midday, she comes back to this room where the child's things are all strewn there, left there, lying here and there. Moment she sees those things, when she sees the toy of the child, she doesn't see the toy, she sees the child. I'll give you a little more intense situation. Say, for instance, it happens unfortunately in this world. Say, for instance, there is a father or a mother, and they had a small child, and the child died. Imagine the grief the mother will go through. When the child has died, she will go mad actually. Then a few days passes after the child has died. Now she will open the cupboard and suddenly she will see all the dresses of the child. What will she go? What will she experience? When she sees the dress of the child, she doesn't see the dress. She sees her child. She opens another drawer and she sees all the toys of the child. When she sees the toys, what does she see? She doesn't see the toys. She sees her child. You see this? In the same way, an advanced spiritualist, it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhava maddhas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Krishna is saying, everything, I am the source of everything, and everything is coming from me. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha mattaha sarvam pravartate. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. I am the source of everything. Prabhavaha. Prabhava means creation. And I am the source of creation. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. Mattaha sarvam pravartate. From me. Mattaha means from me. Sarvam pravartate. Everything is emanating from me. Iti matva. Those who know this, that everything is coming from Krishna. Everything is an emanation of Krishna. Krishna is the source of everything. Iti matva. What do? Bhajante mam. They render devotional service unto me. Who are these people who are rendering devotional service? Buddha. They are enlightened people. Buddha means enlightened. That's how that word Buddha means the enlightened one. And so Buddha means, and so Aham sarvasya prabhavaha mattha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam. Buddha, they are enlightened people. Bhava samanvitaha. And how do they render bhajante? Bhava samanvitaha bhajante. Bhava samanvitaha means their hearts are filled with loving feelings. Bhava means feelings, emotions, and loving feelings. They are enlightened people, and their hearts are filled with bhava, and in that way they render service to Krishna. This is the meaning of an advanced spiritualist. They are enlightened, and their hearts are filled with love for Krishna. So, just like the mother, her heart is filled with love for the child. In the same way, an advanced spiritualist, Buddha, his heart is filled with love for God. And when he sees Stavara Jangama, he doesn't see that. He says it is a manifestation. It is connected to, it has come from my Lord. And he sees the Lord, just like the mother sees the child. So that's an advanced state. Now there is one more feature we must understand and be conscious of time. Krishna, or God's position is, his position is, he is not a manifestation of matter. On the other hand, matter is coming from him. So what is God? God's position is described in the Vedic literatures as beyond matter. Beyond, and hence it is described as transcendental or divya. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atma mayaya. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I'm actually unborn and I'm the controller of everything, and I am beyond this material world. And so his position is not within the material world. He is beyond matter. He is beyond time. He is beyond material energy. And we have a body, we have senses. All of these are manipulation of matter, a transformation of matter. My eyes, my eyeball, my retina, my eardrums, my brain, all of this is matter. But God's existence is beyond matter. This material senses do not have the power to grasp who is beyond matter. Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyaihi. This is the statement of the Vedic literatures. Krishna's position, Krishna's name, Krishna's form, na bhaved grahyam indriyaihi. Indriya grahyam means to come within the grasp of their senses. Krishna's position, Krishna's personality, Krishna's form, Krishna's existence cannot come within the grasp of the material senses. That is his position. So, ordinary people like us, we have senses. We see only through senses and see other material objects. And hence, we cannot see transcendental reality. And so, what God does is, because everything is God's energy, God makes a facility using matter. If you create a vigraha of me, form of me, vigraha means form of me, as it is described in the Vedic literatures, and a certain Vedic process is employed called prana pratishta by an advanced devotee, on the call of an advanced devotee, Lord, who is beyond the material world, transcendental to the material world, makes his appearance in that material form of stone or wood or metal. That is called Vigraha Aradhana. Now, that is, a temple is built around for that Vigraha, and that Vigraha, after the Prana Pratishta, it is said, is no more matter. It is spirit. It is Lord personally present there. That is the meaning of a Vigraha in a temple. Now, I'm a common man. I cannot see transcendental reality. I cannot see spiritual existence of Krishna, but I can see a stone Vigraha or a metal Vigraha. And because that Vigraha has been sanctified according to God's God-given process, and God has mercifully manifested himself in that, I can see God with my ordinary senses in that form in the temple. Hence, I can go and offer my prayers, and I can go and offer some fruits and flowers, and I can serve the Lord, bathe the Lord. So all these facilities are made available in the Vigraha form, so that a less advanced person like me can also interact with God, who is infinitely powerful and the controller of everything, the source of everything. he becomes manifest in the form of a Vigraha I can deal with. So that is a merciful manifestation. So hence God and temple, all of these are very essential things. Now you brought up another issue that priests are making money and cheating. Yes, there are some priests who make money and cheat public. But that does not mean all priests are cheaters. All priests are frauds. We cannot conclude. Just like sometimes when it happens in our lives, isn't it? You go to a petrol bunk, you buy some petrol, you get some change or you buy something. And suddenly you come home and somebody looks at your note and they say, hey, you got cheated. This currency note is not, it is fake. Right? Sometimes you may come across a fake currency note. Can you conclude all currencies are fake? No. So here and there some fake currency notes will be there. That's part of the reality. In the same way, there may be some fake priests who are cheating people, that may be there. But we cannot say all priests are fake or frauds. I think it is an overestimation and an incorrect estimation. We shouldn't make such sweeping statements like that. There are fakes in every field of human activity. In business, aren't there fakes? Among doctors, aren't there fake? I think recently, some days ago, I heard something. It came out in the newspaper. Somebody was running a hospital and he was treating patients and all that. And then the police did a raid and they found out those people who were claiming themselves to be doctors did not have medical degree at all. And they were all arrested. And they were running the hospital last 3 years, 4 years, some number of years. So now, because some doctors are like this, the hospitals are fake, shall we say all doctors are fake? How wrong it would be to make such statements. In fact, in the field of science, there have been examples of fakes who made some report and made up some paper and such things, and they turned out to be fakes. So, such examples of fake encounters and fakes, frauds and such things we may come across, but we should not make a sweeping generalization. All priests are fake and we should not have any interest in them. So God, temples, all of these are important. In fact, temples in the traditional culture in our country was a place for a lot of societal transformative activities that would happen. I'll talk about that more if I have more time. Should we close at 9 or the time limit is at 9? When is the time limit? May I know?
9:15, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. If there is another question, I can take up.
We have this question from YouTube comments, Prabhu. This is from Ritik Singh of Bangalore. He is asking this question: what is the significance of specific places of worship as far as religion is concerned? Whether we build a temple in Ayodhya or any other place, how would it matter?
Okay. Okay, very good. Yes, God is there everywhere. And we just discussed that how temples are important. And it is a fact. So God also appears in this world in human history, like Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago, and Ram appeared many, many thousands and more millions of years ago in the previous Yuga. So God is everywhere, but at the same time, 5,000 years ago, when Krishna appeared, he appeared in Mathura, which is today in our country, in India, in northern part of India, near Delhi. So there is a place where Krishna appeared, and from there he moved on and performed his pastimes in different places in the country. In the same way, Ram appeared in Ayodhya, and he also traveled to different places, and so on. So although God is present everywhere, God is present especially in a temple and is available for interaction. Although God is everywhere, but those places where God particularly made a choice, made a decision to appear, those places are very special places. These are spiritual reality. Someone who is not trained in spiritual concepts cannot understand and appreciate these things. Just like, for instance, there is a place, just like, we are all familiar in science, there is a place where Thomas Alva Edison first made the light bulb. You can imagine, before light bulb, the world was after sunset, the world would be plunged in darkness. They would have small lights, lamps, candles, and such things. How much light it can give. But today we see how much lights are there. We light up our cities, we light up our homes, we light up our malls, and so on. So Edison, for the first time, made the lamp. Now, the place where he did, the town he came from, because he made an important contribution to society, human society. And hence, the place where his lab was in human history, in human scientific history. So, in the same way, there was an apple tree from which an apple fell, and there was a man sitting and looking, and he started thinking, why did the apple fall? Now, there are many apple trees in the world, but there is one apple tree in a courtyard in Cambridge University. Whenever people go there, tourists are taken there and shown that this is the apple tree. May not be the real apple tree. They must have planted another apple tree, but maintained an apple tree in that place. And they talk about it historically. This is where it happened. So those places have some kind of a historical significance. In the same way, or in a radically different way, places where the Lord appeared have immense spiritual significance. The Lord appeared in that place. The Lord is in the spiritual world, in the spiritual dimension we talked about. Actually, Lord Ram, exists eternally in the spiritual abode called Ayodhya. And when he appears here, he brings his spiritual Ayodhya into this material world, into this material universe, and establishes, and there he appears, and he performs his Leela there. So that particular place acquires special significance. In fact, it is said that when Ram makes his appearance in his Ayodhya, in this material world, in fact, he manifests his Leela for some time and then he becomes unmanifest for the common man. But for the spiritually advanced people, that spiritual Ayodhya even today exists. And Lord Rama is still performing his Leela in the spiritual Ayodhya. This is true about Ram. This is true about Krishna. It is said, even today, Krishna is present in Mathura, in Vrindavan, and his pastimes are still continuing. You must have the spiritual vision to see that. If you don't have the spiritual vision, you will not see that. You will only see as a poor, dusty city with monkeys and cows and poor sadhus and drainage, overflowing drains. You will see it like that. You will not be able to see the spiritual Vrindavan if we don't have the necessary training. So those specific places do have significance, and building a temple in those places has immense spiritual significance. You know, this whole debate today, we began telling about why temples and such things. In fact, there was one critique about building a Ram temple in Ayodhya, made a critical observation. They said that, why is the government, or why are people trying to build a temple of Ram? Temple is not going to create jobs. They should build industries. They should build something else which is going to bring, they should build 5-star hotels. They should build casinos where that will create jobs for people, not temple. Actually, it's a very, and a big intellectual made this statement. And actually, it is not true. These are all wrong statements. The proof is our own temple in Bangalore. We have 1,800 and contract employees, not indirect employees. I'll tell you what is indirect employment in a minute. So ours is a small temple in 6 acres of land in the middle of a big city like Bangalore, and which is not considered a holy place or anything like that. But this small, relatively small temple in a 6-acre plot in Bangalore city is able to create 1,800 people's employment. And if we have a grand temple of Rama in Ayodhya, how many employees that will create, how many jobs it will create. These are all wrong statements. Now you see, coming to Bangalore temple. Now there are pilgrims there are thousands of visitors who come to our temple. Of course, now we are under a lockdown situation. But when the temples opens up and when the temple was not under lockdown, we would have thousands of people. How would these thousands of people come to our temple? Many of them would come in an auto rickshaw. Many of them would come in a taxi. Now, the auto rickshaw driver who brought that visitor to the temple, he drove the auto rickshaw and he got some 25 rupees, 30 rupees. He got a job and he got some money, earning wages for bringing thousands of people to come to this temple. All these rickshaw drivers, all the taxi drivers, they're all getting benefit because there are people who want to come to your temple. So in other words, see, these are all stupid arguments, giving, micro picture, not having the macro picture. Actually, what a temple does is, it creates another kind of a tourism called religious tourism or a spiritual tourism. And tourism is an important industry in the world. And tourism creates jobs. Tourism invigorates economy. These are all very well established facts in this world. If in Agra today, if Taj Mahal did not exist, Agra would not have been as it is today. That monument called the Taj Mahal, which is world renowned, brings thousands of visitors there from all over the world, and it creates employment. It creates economy. It creates a city. It creates urbanization. It creates enormous jobs. So many things happen because of tourism. There are a few countries in Europe called the Baltic nations. These countries, their predominant industry itself is tourism. They thrive on tourism because tourism brings a lot of revenue for them, creates jobs. So it's wrong to say that tourism doesn't bring revenue. Tourism, and including religious tourism or spiritual tourism, brings revenue, creates jobs. So these are all wrong understanding. In fact, I was in a recent conversation with one intelligent person. He was telling me, actually, the kind of jobs religious tourism creates is very different from the kind of jobs a casino creates. a man who is working in a casino or a man who is working in a bar, you know what kind of job that those bars and casinos have created. They know that people are coming, gambling, losing money. People are coming and getting drunk, spoiling their health. Or if you create a tobacco factory, cigarette making factory, and it has got 2,000 employees. Those 2,000 employees, what are they doing? They're creating cigarettes which people are going to smoke and get lung cancer and die. So what is the quality of employment you are creating? Whereas people who come to a temple, the man who drove the auto rickshaw or the car, and then he has brought somebody who goes to a temple, how much more fulfilling it is. So it's not just the number of jobs, it's the quality of jobs. Also, what religious tourism can create is so much better, so much more necessary in this world. And to think that these are all unnecessary things in this world is a very, very wrong understanding. It is very important. Ayodhya, which is spiritually significant, where Lord Ram made his appearance, a grand temple comes there, and that becomes another important tourism spot in our country. Lakhs of people should go there, and when lakhs of people are going there, when they all have to stay in a hotel, isn't it? When lakhs of people go, so many hotels can come up, and when hotels are there, small jobs are created. Somebody has to do housekeeping, somebody has to do laundry, all these jobs are created. And then taxi, as we discussed, and cooks, they all have to eat food, cooks are needed, vegetables, that consumption increases. Just like this, you see how much economic rejuvenation happens when a holy place is created like this. And so Ayodhya, we must have many, many more places, and people will find joy and solace and spiritual enrichment by going to those places, and by which they will create jobs. And apart from spiritual evolution and spiritual elevation they will go through, it also creates all these material or at a mundane level, all these good effects it creates. Even if somebody is not looking at the spiritual impact that going to Ayodhya, going to a spiritual place creates, even if you see these material calculations, even in that sense, it has got immense value. So like this, these are all very wrong arguments that a temple is not essential, we need something else, temples are useless, priests are full of frauds. These are all very extreme statements. We should be a little more cautious about these kind of things. And we should take a more balanced, sober, thoughtful, rational, logical conclusions about these kind of issues. And I think we have almost come to the end of the time limit.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Your answers were intellectually stimulating. I mean, the richness, the depth of philosophy was so lucidly explained by you. Thank you so much. I'm sure all the folks have enjoyed that. Prabhu, many of the folks are missing Janmashtami. Many of them would head over to the temple. They would see the grand celebration, take part, be part of the festivities, volunteer. So they're missing all that this year due to the pandemic, Prabhu. So it would be really nice and heartwarming if you could share a few concepts or ideas as to how we could celebrate joyous Janmashtami at our homes.
Oh, wonderful. So we in Bangalore, and I'm sure all our temples in different parts of the country have planned a lot of things and trying to make whatever we are doing in the temple, make it available online so that people can watch and participate in the celebrations from the comforts and safety of their homes. It is a fact that today everybody should be careful about coming to gatherings and big places, big gatherings like that because of the pandemic. In Bangalore, we have planned on both the days of Janmashtami, August 11th and 12th, which is just 2 days away from now. Both the days from morning 6:30 a.m. up to 11 p.m. in the night, continuous activities. You can go to the ISKCON Bangalore YouTube channel or the other social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, and so on. And you can watch. And on the website, we have the detailed listing. We have bhajans. We have Nauka Vihara in the morning, a boat festival for the Lord. You can see it live, and you can see Abhishekas. And we have many, about 7 or 8 panel discussions on philosophy, discussions on various practices of Krishna consciousness, and very intellectually, philosophically stimulating discussions are there. And we have a lot of cultural programs. We have music, dance. We have North Indian music, South Indian music, North Indian dance, South Indian dance, East Indian dance. We have varieties of music and dance and cultural things. We have a lot of children's programs. And we have, for young people, we have very contemporary music, contemporary dance, glorifying Krishna. So we have planned a lot of activities so that you can keep in touch with Krishna, remember Krishna, and go through that website and see what program interests you, and make sure you are there and watch that particular event. So nearly 20 hours of programming we have planned on those 2 dates, so that you can be in touch with Krishna, remember Krishna. Another thing that we have done, we are just about to release. I was just before I came for this session, I was going through the document. We're going to release a procedure, a vratha, because people who are religious, they want to observe Krishna Janmashtami Vrat. So we are releasing a small manual called Sarala Vratha and a Sampurna Vratha, a simple process of observing Janmashtami in your home, and a more elaborate process of. So we're having a video, and all of those kind of things have been made. Just in another few hours' time, it will be released, and it will be available on website and other various channels. So you can download that and see, and you can also observe that vratha of Krishna Janmashtami according to your convenience, to whatever levels things. So in this way, we want you to be engaged and during Krishna Janmashtami.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very wonderful ideas and concepts. Thank you for creating this opportunity for all of us to experience Janmashtami at home, and also the Vrata, the Janmashtami Vrata. This is something new. I'm sure all folks are excited. Thank you so much for your thrilling answers and your time, Prabhu. To all the folks, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you found answers to so many of your questions. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this Janmashtami at home. So please contact your folk guides for more details about online programs and what you'll be doing on that particular day. So let's have a wonderful Janmashtami. Wishing you all a happy Janmashtami in advance. Until next week, same time, 8:15 p.m. for the next edition of Perfect Question, Perfect Answers. This is Folk Bangalore signing off. Hare Krishna.